Good afternoon, my name is Greg Cox, and for this unit we're going to be talking about the difference between instructional goals and learning outcomes. Now we use those two terms almost interchangeably or synonymously, but they truly have different meanings, and that's kind of what we're going to break down a little bit this afternoon. I've got some things up here on the board already. Let's say that our overall goal or instructional goal is that we want our students to become paramedics. Well, out of that we have learning objectives and we have performance objectives that they must meet in order to obtain this goal. Each of our objectives, whether they be learning or performance, all have learning outcomes. These are the measurable units that we use to define how we want the student to perform. So let's say under our learning objectives that we want our students to study A&P and EKG and patient assessment. And we have those same goals under our performance objectives. So for this afternoon's talk, I'm going to focus kind of on a patient assessment. And let's say that I wanted to teach my class a lesson on trauma assessment. So that's going to be our topic. And so this becomes our instructional goal. I want my students to be good at trauma assessment. Well, in order to do that, I want them to be able to perform a head-to-toe assessment on a patient in 5 minutes using the DCAP-BTLS acronym. So the way I like to do it is with repetition and with chunking of information. Day one, I'm going to put all of the elements of a patient assessment up here on the board. And the students take their notes, and then I will demonstrate on a volunteer patient what that patient assessment is supposed to look like and what I want them to be able to achieve. Then, for about the next week or 2 weeks, at the beginning of class, I'm going to have a student come up here and write out all of the elements of a patient assessment. Scene size up, primary assessment, secondary assessment. By writing this on the board, the student is having to recall it. I do let them phone a friend if they get stuck. But they're having to recall information. The students sitting in the audience are getting to see it repetitively, and it really starts to build in their mind and create muscle memory. That muscle memory will be really important when they're having to recall it under stress. Then we throw in the actual patient assessment component. Again, volunteer patient, come up here, and they actually work a head-to-toe assessment. Again, by doing this repetitively, they create muscle memory so that they can perform these under stress. Then when it comes time to test, it's just like another day in class. They know that they have to be able to achieve all of these performance objectives and these learning outcomes within a specific time frame. For this one, it happens to be 5 minutes. So that is kind of a global overall view of the difference between instructional goals and learning outcomes. If anybody has any questions, I'll be delighted to take them at this time.